We welcome you to ACC Network's coverage of 2021 spring football, and this is the Duke Spring Showcase from Wallace Wade Stadium at Brooks Field on the West Campus. David Cutcliffe's going to put his group through a spring practice here that will feature some scrimmaging as well as some other individual work. We're going to break down with the head coach his football team so far through these spring sessions and get a feel for what to expect in 2021. And great to be with Roddy Jones, West Durham. We welcome you to our coverage of ACC football here on ACC Network. Spring is always one of those times, Roddy, where hope kind of springs eternal. And for Duke, after a difficult 2-9 campaign a year ago, you can sense some of the enthusiasm that Coach Cutcliffe and his staff have got built for a team they hope to be very successful this fall.
Yeah, you certainly can, Wes. Spring is all about new beginnings, starting fresh, being able to flush what happened last season, good or bad. For this Duke program, they're coming into their second straight spring, not exactly pleased with where they were in the fall, but you can tell David Cutcliffe is really excited about his crew. You can tell that this team is really excited to prove people wrong, and it starts in the spring with their attitude, their work ethic, and I'm really excited to see them today in not only a spring showcase format where we see the scrimmaging, but also in a practice format where you can really see these guys get after it and see the fundamentals. Duke is a self-described developmental program, so this is where they do most of their work to set up who they are in the fall.
And one of the things, too, that's happened here in Durham is there's been a bit of a reset, if you will, and some different assignments on the coaching staff and things of that nature, Roddy. It's been interesting to learn how all those things have fit together this spring, and it's whether it's the combination of Matt Guerreri and Ben Albert on defense, Jeff Ferris, who's now taken over coaching quarterbacks as part of the offensive coordinator leadership. All these things have created momentum in a most unique way, I think, for David Cutcliffe here in year 14.
It has, and David Cutcliffe talked to us about the longer you do this, the further you get in the career, the more you have to learn. There you see the coaching staff as it's currently constructed. Raekwon Boyette moves over to wide receivers. You get Jeff Ferris moving to quarterbacks. Those two guys are going to be co-offensive coordinators with Ferris calling the plays in the fall. And both of those guys, young guys who played at Duke, have grown up in the coaching ranks under David Cutcliffe and really understand what they're doing. And the big change on defense is Trooper Taylor hopping over from the offensive side of the football to the cornerback slot, and the energy that he brings, the attitude that he brings has been something that they've talked a lot about. We're going to hear from Coach Taylor today as we've got him mic'd up, so at some point we'll tune in to hear some of that energy and excitement.
Well, there's no question Trooper Taylor brings that to the table as well. Calvin McGee, you also saw listed on that coaching roster as well. We look forward to talking about his impact as well on this coaching staff. So here's kind of a rundown of what you're going to see today in the Blue Devil Spring Showcase. We told you there'll be some scrimmaging. There'll be some individual work. There's a kind of a chronological look here at the day for David Cutcliffe's team. You're going to see kicking and special teams to start early, and that means Charlie Ham, of course, who had an outstanding season a year ago, 13 of 15 in the ACC. We'll get some individual drills set up and then blitz pickup. And then one-on-ones and 7-on-7s that'll lead into situation team drills, and we'll close our 2-hour visit with the Blue Devils with some scrimmage situations, which are always fun this time of year. But, Roddy, it's a football team, too, that is looking to kind of measure its impact on really both sides of the ball and kind of dismiss some of the things that were their ills a year ago. And unfortunately, that means turnovers. Ball security became a real problem in 2020 for the Blue Devils.
And that's why I'm excited to see the drills. Usually when you get these spring games or spring showcases at the end of spring, it's a game-like setting. You don't get to see what they're doing in individual, in 7-on-7, in one-on-ones. You don't get to see that. We're going to see that here today so we can see the emphasis that they're putting on stuff like ball security. And ball security has been something that really stung Duke a year ago. 39 turnovers were the most in the country. And remember, that wasn't in a full slate of games. That was only 11 games. Right. In a typical season. They'd have played one more. So that is going to be something to watch, not only at the quarterback position where they've struggled with interceptions and fumbles, struggled at running back with fumbles. Just overall ball security will be really interesting. That's something I'm going to have my eye on today.
All right, a foggy Saturday morning has greeted us here at Wallace Wade Stadium as we start our look into ACC football in the spring. The Spring Showcase with the Blue Devils is underway next.
This is The Planning Effect. As Carla thinks about retirement, she'll want...
West Durham, we welcome you back to the Duke Spring Showcase. live on a Saturday morning here on ACC Network. Just the first of many visits you're going to get through the conference footprint as spring football unfolds. And there's a look at Gunnar Holmberg out of Heritage High School in Wake Forest, North Carolina. And this is the latest in the line of quarterbacks at Duke. And Roddy, you go back a few years and you can start to see kind of how this has moved forward for David Cutcliffe.
Yeah, it started in 2015. Well, not started. Of the last four, Thomas Sirk was the first one in 2015, a guy who not only could do it with his arm, but also with his legs. And then, of course, you had Daniel Jones for 3 seasons, a guy who really grew into that position and exploded in 2018, becoming a top 10 pick to the New York Giants. And then you had Quentin Harris, who was sort of the stopgap, if you will, between what we got in Chase Bryce and Daniel Jones. Quentin Harris struggled a bit at times. The offense at times seemed a little too big for him, but after him, you had the transfer in Chase Bryce, who came in 2020. And again, wasn't exactly what you'd expect from Duke at quarterback. You can go back to the first days of David Cutcliffe at Duke with Sean Renfrey, then Anthony Boone, two guys that we did not include in that graphic. And they really had great quarterback play through that 2018 season up until 2019. And the next guy is going to be Gunnar Holmberg, a guy who's grown up in the system and looks to take the quarterback position back to where it was when you had Daniel Jones, Sirk, Boone, and Renfrey.
Roddy, I want to spend a moment here on Gunnar Holmberg because there is a patience factor involved in this that is to be respected, if not admired, with this young man waiting his time to get this opportunity to be the Duke signal caller.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who's been around since Daniel Jones was here, learned behind him and Quentin Harris, and then obviously behind Chase Bryce last year. And I think the thing that told me the most about who Gunnar Holmberg is when Jeff Ferris told us that when Chase Bryce was named the starting cornerback, Gunnar didn't hang his head at all. He was a guy that just went to work every single day. And with the struggles that Bryce had a year ago, it would have been really easy for him to start looking around and saying, hey, what if I was playing? What if we were doing this or that? But he didn't do that. And that's why he's got the respect of every single one of his teammates and this coaching staff. So that part's already checked. That he's already got that box ticked off. The question is, can he perform on the field? And the coaches seem fairly confident that he can.
All right, let's look at, when we look at numbers here, a year ago, 18 of 25, 161 yards, couple interceptions, and a half dozen ball games. What does he bring to the table? What have you seen? If you're looking forward to 2021, what are the check marks, at least early in your mind, on Gunnar Holmberg?
I think the first thing that you're looking for is, do you take care of the football? Are you smart with your decisions? And you would think a guy who is as experienced as he is in the system in his 4th year at Duke, you would think that he would be. Now, he's got plenty of arm strength. He's got enough arm. He's got some mobility as well. He's not quite Daniel Jones or Thomas Sirk, but he is a fairly mobile guy. The biggest thing is going to be, though, making smart decisions, taking care of the football, and making sure Duke has the football at the end of every play.
All right, we're already underway into some special teams drills. You see the Gunners getting after it a little bit. Syed Stevens is a young man, 34, in the white, who they're excited about. And you see Daryl Harding Jr., number 3, involved there. So we're going to already see Kirk Benedict's special teams unit getting after it here a little bit, and that's good to see. Kind of get the blood flowing on a Saturday morning, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the part that you don't typically get to see of practice. Practice starts early, and it starts with these special teams guys. You saw Syed Stevens, a guy who may end up starting for Duke, out there, practicing his blocking, practicing getting down. A lot of the guys that you're going to see, especially the ones that aren't the household names, the Gunnar Holmberg, the Mateo Durant, the Eli Pankels, the Jake Bobo, all the rest of these guys are going to be on special teams. And so this is the part of practice that needs to get done, but oftentimes the fans don't see or really care to see.
All right, this is the punting unit with Porter Wilson. John Taylor's the long snapper for the Blue Devils. And there's a look at Wilson. Who hit a 52-yard punt. You see 9th in Division I last year in total punt yardage for Porter Wilson.
Yeah. When you look at the phases of the game, David Cutcliffe often talks about the hidden yardage. Porter Wilson and that punt team, it's one of the biggest swings of yardage that you'll get in the game. So his success is going to go a long way to this Duke team being successful this season. And Duke has always had some pretty good specialists.
All right, we're now joined by the head football coach of the Blue Devils here at the front end of his Saturday morning practice, David Cutcliffe. Coach, first of all, thanks as always for the time, and thanks for letting us join you here on a Saturday morning. So what's your expectation this morning?
Well, I want to see the little things. We're really working on our focus in areas that we believe in at Duke, which would be treat the ground like a hot stove. I want to see first up mentality. I want to see hustle on and off the field. I want to start with great alignment and assignment. I don't expect to see many busted plays. Starts with this kicking right here. And I heard what you guys were saying, and we believe that we win a minimum of 3 games a year because of our kicking game. And when it blends with your offense and defense and every player understands how you're winning games, it makes a difference. And Kirk Benedict does a great job, and we take a lot of pride in our kicking game.
You absolutely do, Coach. Another thing that you've taken pride in over the course of your career is the development of your quarterbacks. What have you thought about Gunnar Holmberg this spring, and what should we expect to see from him today?
Well, he's had a great offseason. You know, all of our guys missed a lot of work through the pandemic as they were home for such a long period of time. And I thought, and Gunnar believed this, I thought it really hurt Gunnar, his physical development. And he's had a great – and we had to keep lifting during the fall because we were so far behind. He made that work. He made December work. He made January work for him, February. He is stronger. You're going to see it today. He's gained good weight. He can still run. But his arm strength is, I don't know, 35-40% better than what it was. And his mental capacity for what we're doing has been really great this spring.
Coach, one of the things that we heard a lot from just not you but also your other coaches and even some of your players is the congruency of these new coaches, especially the combination guys on offense. Jeff Ferris, Calvin McGee, Raekwon Boyette, Zach Roper, who's been with you for several years already. I mean, it just seems like that congruency, that continuity is really paying off with, in the case of a Gunnar Holmberg, a Mateo Durant, even some young guys in the offensive line I know you're going to count on.
Well, it's been a huge impact in what we did with both sides of the ball by moving Trooper Taylor, one of the top assistant football coaches in the country, over to defense, which he's coached before. His energy, his knowledge is helping there. You mentioned the offensive staff. I'm having fun when I do go in with them, but these are people I trust, people I love, and it has blended. You know, everybody talks about the chemistry of a team. I think it's just important to have that same chemistry with the staff. And this staff has as good, if not the best, chemistry I've been around in coaching.
Well, Coach, let's flip over to the defensive side because we obviously talked about the quarterback. Where do you think this defense has made the biggest strides this spring?
Well, I think you want to use the term continuity. I think we're playing together really well. Our young people in the defensive front are playing at a high level. Watch our interior guys today. We've got some 300-pounders across the board at our tackle and nose positions that are being disruptive. They're making plays. Our young ends are doing a tremendous job, along with Ben Fry, who's a veteran that we've moved Ben. We've been wanting to play Ben at end, but we've been so short in our numbers inside. He's played undersized there. And Ben's a wrestler. He's got great hands. He's a great leader. Dwayne Carter, he'll show up today. He's a great leader. And then I think Shaka Hayward is probably one of the best linebackers in the country, and he doesn't get mentioned enough, and maybe that's my fault. But I'm saying that today. He's a great football player. Leonard Johnson and other veterans. We're just now getting Josh Blackwell back some at corner. Jeremiah Lewis, who started a year ago. We have a lot of people out. We had a lot of surgeries, as you know, season-ending surgeries a year ago. But the group we're putting on the field now, defensively, our top 11 and getting close to our top 22 are really functional and fast.
Coach, it counts when you got veteran guys. I know you're going to miss Jack Wollabaugh in your practices today. You're going to miss guys like Lummy Young. You're going to miss guys like Dorian Mausi, who I know you've counted on. Guys like that, though, are guys you're kind of known, right? I mean,
yes.
that opens a door for younger guys.
That's no question. And one of the things that I've always told our staff I'll hear people talk about what you get back next fall. I don't like that, or what you have coming in. You're only as good as your twos coming out of spring practice. And I've always believed that. And every team that I've coached through the years, whether as an assistant or a head coach, I take a long look at our squad and what our twos look like in that last scrimmage and how you feel about their progress. So this is a great opportunity to grow depth, and for us hopefully to say we got a unit we can win with on both sides of the ball that are backups.
Coach, after last year, or before last year, it was really easy to take spring practice for granted. And then last year happens, and you come back this season, and even though you've had some disruptions, you've been able to get from point A to point B in spring practice. How much different was the appreciation for getting the work done in the spring after a year like last year that was so tough?
It's I'm going to tell you can't see me really smiling under this mask. I'm having more fun, and I think our players are, than ever for spring ball. I can't say I love spring practice as a player. I think we maybe all didn't feel that 100%. Maybe it was opportunity. But right now, you got a hungry bunch of Blue Devils, coaches, players that are enjoying the opportunity we get to work.
All right, David Cutcliffe, you're always kind with your time. Thanks for letting us
Thanks,
take
guys.
a peek in today.
And Roddy, stay to the end because we got a surprise for you. Stay to the end.
I cannot wait.
All right. See you guys.
See? Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
David Cutcliffe. All right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I always like when Roddy gets thrown a surprise at the end. That's good. Saturday morning.
I have a feeling that it's going to be one that I appreciate because teased it twice now, though.
All right. More coming up. Duke Spring Showcase. We're underway from Wallace Wade Stadium on a Saturday morning. Great to have you with us as we start our coverage of ACC spring football on ACCN.
This is The Planning Effect. As Carla thinks...
But Mateo Durant is going to be one of the top backs in the ACC next year. He's a guy that's got incredible lateral quickness, great speed when he breaks in the open field, and excellent vision. And as long as this offensive line comes along, this run game is going to be dynamic because of what Durant brings to the table. He had an excellent game last year against Syracuse, over 200 yards, but showed himself to be an explosive, powerful, a very crafty back really throughout the season. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. And then he broke out and did this against Georgia Tech. One-on-one against a safety, give me that one-handed touchdown. When you've got a guy that's a dual threat like that, can affect the game in the pass game as well as the run game, you've got a real weapon.
All right, but here's the deal. Mateo Durant's name is not going to be present of mind. It's not going to be at the top of the list in the ACC. But the more I'm hearing you talk, the more maybe we should be thinking about Mateo Durant in that light, Roddy.
You absolutely should. Look, we are accustomed to saying, all right, who are the big schools? Those are the teams that are going to have the best backs in the league on a year-in, year-out basis. This is going to be one of those years where you're going to have to look a little bit deeper in the preseason to figure out who the best backs are going to be. Mateo Durant is certainly going to be in that conversation. This guy is as good as there is in this conference. And in terms of explosiveness, he may be one or two in terms of most explosive backs in the ACC in terms of provenness. I mean, you look at Jahmyr Gibbs down at Georgia Tech. He's also a guy that's really explosive. You've got Mateo Durant. I think Sean Tucker up at Syracuse, another guy that's probably not going to get a lot of preseason love, but as a true freshman last year, had an excellent season. Bam Knight at NC State, he is a little bit of a bigger name, and he also has the ability to affect the game in the return game as well. And then Christian Beal-Smith. These are five guys that I think you really should watch for in 2021 that could have really great seasons. Now, Clemson fans are going to come after me, and that's fine, but you don't have a proven guy in the backfield. These five guys really are.
Well, we'll be at Tiger Town next Saturday, and we'll get a look at I'm sure, what is a pretty deep stable of backs. But here's a guy, and we were talking before we went on the air. 817 rushing yards and 8 scores in 11 games last year. You could ask people across the league, did Mateo Durant hit those numbers? And I'm not sure you'd get a lot of positive answers out of that, Roddy.
I'm sure that you would likely not. I mean, this is a guy that again, we talked about the struggles on the offensive line very briefly. This offensive line was banged up and struggled down the stretch last year, and yet Mateo Durant still averaged 6.1 yards per carry, scored 8 touchdowns, and as you said, had over 800 yards. Was one of the more underrated backs, and that's what happens when individual success, individual excelling, happens without team success. You sometimes overlook those guys. But Mateo Durant, and we'll talk about Shaka Hayward in a little bit. David Cutcliffe alluded to it. I'll talk about him too. But this Duke team has some really good players. You need the team success to go along with it so that they can get the pub and the recognition that they deserve.
By the way, the offensive line under the tutelage of Greg Fry is a group that if Durant and Holmberg are going to be successful, it's going to be because of stability in that front. Roddy, we talked about ball security at the top the last couple of years with the Blue Devils. They got to get continuity in the front, too.
They've been banged up. I mean, Jack Wallabaugh, their center, has had season-ending injuries the past 2 seasons, and he is a guy that's really talented. David Cutcliffe thinks he is an NFL-type player. But when you look at this group, you have a lot of guys that have played. When you get the offensive line, the snapshot there, you have a lot of guys that have played, and a lot that David Cutcliffe thinks can be those type guys that can play at the next level. When he had his best lines, back for Anthony Boone, you had guys like Laken Tomlinson, who was a first-round pick on it. So you need those NFL guys up front to be able to propel that offensive line. And if you listen to Coach Cut, he thinks he's got a few of them on this group.
You see Graham Barton, that's one of the guys that they're looking at as a possible answer at left tackle. John Jalot is not going to participate today in the offensive line. He's a guy that they potentially think could be a starter at tackle to go along with Wollaball, Lighton, who's not in there today, guys like that. It's going to be an interesting group to watch, and quite frankly, Roddy, one to focus on, because if it turns positive for Duke, it could mean a big positive across the board for this football team.
It definitely could. And you look at a guy like Graham Barton, 6'6", 315 pounds. And Wes, I've seen 315 in a lot of different shapes and sizes. That's a good-looking 315 right there. That's good-looking 315. So, I mean, this is the type of body that you're looking for from a player who's going to be on the left side of the line, of the offensive line in the ACC. So you can see the fact that they've got the body types. They've got the athleticism there. And Graham Barton is probably one of those that we should have our eye on, not only over the course of this game, but going into next year, because they are very excited about the steps he has taken in this developmental program over the course of this offseason.
All right, so the offensive line at work for Greg Fry, and we will continue our spring showcase with the Blue Devils. 30 minutes in, moving through some of the individual drills, getting ready to pop pads here in a few moments. Continues Saturday morning, Wallace Wade Stadium. The practice underway for the Blue Devils with Roddy Jones, Wes Durham, and we flip to the defensive side of the ball, and David Cutcliffe was quick to point out Shaka Hayward. And he and Rocky Shelton going to be counted on here immensely for that side of the ball this fall for Duke.
Yeah, this was a Duke defense that really struggled, especially compared to the year before, and really struggled stopping the run throughout the year. Ended up the worst rush defense in the conference. But that doesn't mean they don't have some good players. There you get a look at Rocky Shelton, but Shaka Hayward, number 42, he's a guy that, as you said, David Cutcliffe was quick to point out. And Wes, when we had Shaka Hayward as a redshirt freshman, late in his redshirt freshman season, he and Chris Rump really popped. And I asked Coach Cut then and co-defensive coordinator Matt Guerrieri, what's the potential there? And both of them said he's as good as they come. He's got the potential to be one of the best linebackers in the country. And I really think that in terms of underrated defenders in the league, Shaka Hayward is certainly one. He's got the length at 6'4", 220 pounds, the athleticism, had to learn early in his career how to play with better pace, not overrun plays, but he's going into his 4th season as a Duke Blue Devil. He could be a guy that really emerges this season. And Wes, this is the type of guy that has the talent to be in that ACC Defensive Player of the Year conversation if the team success comes with it.
Good point, Roddy. I think the other thing, too, and this kind of goes back in, we were tying the offensive side. Remember with the Mateo Durant conversation, about offensive line as it relates to Holmberg and Durant. For Shaka Hayward, in my opinion, if that defensive front is able to get a little push, you replace guys up front who obviously were very valuable like Dimu KG and others. But Shaka Hayward's production level will be really determined by how good their front is in some respect, I guess.
Yeah, and they're going to need some complementary football, too. With the amount that the offense turned the ball over, it put the defense in a lot of adverse positions in those quick change. And that affects you, especially as it happens over and over and over the course of the season. But you're right, replacing those guys up front, Dimu KG and Rump, especially in the run game. You talk about Dimu KG, a guy who just did everything for them up front in terms of setting the edge, playing really physically in the run game. If they can replace those guys, it'll really help a guy like Shaka Hayward. And a couple of years ago, this was a defense that was a top 5 defense in yards per play in the league. They were not that last year, but this is a group that's used to having success. And even though they're losing Chris Rumph, Victor Dimukeji, and Derek Tangelo up front, 3 really good players, you get the sense that they feel really good about the group that they have.
That's it. That's the key element, right? And you keep hearing about Ben Fry, obviously a veteran guy. Dwayne Carter is a redshirt sophomore whose name continued to come up in our visits with coaches and players this week. And that's one of the things that when you keep hearing the same names, you realize they feel like that some of the inventory has certainly been fortified behind the losses of the guys, though, that we just showed you, especially Rumph and Dimukeji. Tangelo was a longtime veteran player, but Rumph and Dimukeji were fixtures in the defensive line for the Blue Devils for a long time. So moving on to another level here in the practice preparation, we're going to keep an eye on this defense. Matt Guerreri is one of the real rising stars in coaching, Roddy, and he's pretty excited about the back end. I would be too if I had Leonard Johnson. Josh Blackwell's as old as you. He's been around forever. I mean, there's just some veteran pieces back there. Lemmy Young we're not going to see today, but they've got some guys who have really, really played a lot of football.
They do. This is a group that always is asked to do a lot for Matt Guerreri, the co-defensive coordinator. We got a shot at Ben Albert before when we were talking about the defensive line. But this Jamark Woods, a Michigan transfer, a guy who was at Michigan for 3 years, earned his degree. He is a 6'3", 215-pound guy that'll ask to be a big part of that. But you mentioned the guys that are the known commodities. Lemmy Young, who's out today, Leonard Johnson, Jeremiah Lewis, Josh Blackwell, who was a really good player before having a season-ending knee injury a year ago. This is a group that has to be versatile, has to be fast, has to be athletic, is always asked to play a lot of man-to-man, and you get a look at Trooper Taylor right behind him, who's taking over that cornerback spot. They're going to have an attitude because let me tell you, when Trooper Taylor goes someplace, that group plays like they've got a chip on their shoulder.
Let's see if we can dive in. Trooper Taylor's got a mic on for us today as we go through some of these drills and see if we can dial in on Coach.
Dropping dimes. Oh, yeah, scoop. Chaka locker. Go. Play through his hands, Tony. Good. Don't panic. Thank you, Josh. Keep me straight, baby. Here we go. Go. Josh, I'm dropping dimes, Josh. Look at that ball. Baby. Drew Brees retired because he knew I came out of retirement. Go. You know what's up. Dropping dimes.
Gotta love it.
Oh. Hey, be careful. Slide down. Slide this way. Come on, they scared of us, man. Here we go. We just get, thrown out the club no matter where we move. Go. Look at that ball. That's a bad route, man. That's a hell of a throw. That's a raggedy route you ran right there. Go. There you go, Tony. Try to make it look like a route. Here we go.
Roddy, I'm going to say the enthusiasm and the energy is unquestioned with Trooper Taylor.
It just jumps out, man. First off, I want to give him a shout out for the whoop there it is reference, the shakalaka in there. It happens to be my girl's favorite song now because of the commercial. They sing it all the time. But when you have a coach that is constantly chirping, that is constantly keeping you on edge, that is constantly talking to you and just showing that energy, it permeates into that position group. And this cornerback group is always asked to do a lot. They're put on an island a lot so that front seven can be really aggressive, front six really, can be really aggressive. So you have to have an attitude, you have to have an energy, you have to have an edge, and Trooper Taylor has all of that, and also the excitement to go along with it that makes it fun to come out to practice.
Yep, no question about it. All right, stay tuned. More to come. Spring Showcase at Duke continuing on a Saturday morning. Come back, move along, more individual drills before we hit some of the 7-on-7 stuff with David Cutcliffe's team next.
Did you know Geico could save you hundreds?
32 catches a year ago in 11 ball games.
He's a big target, 6'5", 215 pounds, has incredible experience. He's got a little wiggle to him too. Whoop! There you go. Get some Jake Bobo and then flex on him at the end. Love that. Jake Bobo is going to be the bell cow of this Duke offense in terms of throwing and catching the football. And as we see him go through one-on-ones, we'll see some of the stuff that these guys are working on. I love watching receiver one-on-ones, Wes, because it tells me about a mentality. It tells me about a dedication to the little things that shows up during the game. You know, the difference between Demaryius Thomas in one-on-ones in 2008 and Demaryius Thomas in one-on-ones in 2009 for us when I was at Georgia Tech was significant, and we saw that on the field as well. Whether the ball was overthrown, underthrown, whatever, it didn't matter. He was winning his route and just decided that he wasn't going to be covered. So I always love the receivers get after it in one-on-ones.
All right, we're going to take a look at some of these drills in the one-on-one scenarios, but the idea of a Jake Bobo, an Eli Pancol, a Jalen Calhoun, Roddy, these are known commodities, right? Here's Pancol.
They are, and they're guys that are all experienced. They're guys that have been in this offense for a significant amount of time, and they complement each other fairly well. You've got the big target, 6'5", in Bobo. Eli Pancol brings some size and speed as well at 6'3", and then you've got more of the speed guy in Jalen Calhoun who can go down the field and get it a little bit. And you see the coaching coming from Raekwon Boyette, the co-offensive coordinator. There's Jalen Calhoun, who's going to be in the slot a significant amount this year. But another guy they're really excited about is number 3, Daryl Harding, who 6'4", 225 pounds. When we asked Coach, who are some of the big risers of the spring on the offensive side of the football, Daryl Harding's name came up as a guy that they think can be really good, especially down the field in jump ball situations this season for the Blue Devils.
You see just the 12 catches in 11 ball games for Harding, but he did have a 70-yard catch against Carolina at 8 catches in 2019. So it might be one of those guys that's kind of coming along in his career, if you will. We will not see as much about tight end today. Jake Marwidi has had a really good spring, not practicing today, but that's a guy to keep an eye on, and seemingly the tight end's also always been a fixture. Harding, Calhoun, Pancol, Bobo. Roddy, we're going to forget about Jarrett Garner before too long here, and that's a guy that 2 years ago, I remember you and I were doing Duke-Miami toward the end of the regular season, and David Cutcliffe was really excited about putting a big 6'3" guy who could run out on the perimeter.
Yes, he was. So this is a deep receiver group. It's probably the strength of this offense, maybe other than the running back position, because obviously with Mateo Durant, you're going to feel really good about that. But the position that Duke finds himself in at receiver is as good as I can remember since maybe the years of Connor Vernon or Jamison Crowder. I mean, this group has that sort of potential and the experience. Now, is the top-end talent of a Jamison Crowder there? Maybe not, but we'll have to see, because you definitely have some really talented guys.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch and see kind of the development and the deal with Gunnar Holmberg taking over at quarterback too, Roddy. I mean, all of that kind of works together, right?
Yeah, at the very least, these guys are going to be on the same page over and over. As I think we're going to get some more Trooper Taylor here. The more we can do this, the better, because I'm getting fired up just sitting in my office in Atlanta, Georgia, just listening to Trooper Taylor.
Yeah, well, there's no question about it now. The energy and the
Two way, my friend.
See what we get here. You see a little bit of the Lover's Lane going here, the
right there,
one-on-ones.
nice shot. Hey,
offensive and defensive line on the right. And, of course, Trooper getting his group ready on the left side.
Communicate.
This is a fixture in every single practice on a daily basis. It's one-on-ones, and when the quarterbacks and the DBs and the receivers get to go one-on-ones doing in space, the big guys are in what they call lover's lane, which is one-on-ones on the offensive line, offensive, defensive line. And Trooper Taylor's over there with his guys as we're going to get a little shot of them doing, I believe that's 7-on-7. A little bit of route work in action.
Scoop, 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 scoop.
There's Gunnar Holmberg working at quarterback. And we'll try to identify some of these guys in the secondary. There is Syed Stevens, whose name came up often, Roddy, in our conversations.
It did.
34 to white.
He's going to be one of those guys that is going to be counted on the defensive side of the football. 34, Syed Stevens, listed as an or right now as a starter with Rocky Shelton. A young guy, redshirt, sophomore, that they said the light bulb's starting to come on, and at 6'3", 225, certainly looks the part. And if that light bulb is coming on, then that's a dangerous thing. But I want you to listen to Trooper Taylor for a little bit. Consistently coaching, and I love every time there's an incomplete pass, you hear that scoop, 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 there it is, because he wants to program his guys to say, hey, look, when the ball's on the ground, doesn't matter, incomplete pass, whatever, in practice, when the ball's on the ground, we scoop it up to start to practice that so that when we get fumbles in the game, it's automatic and we know how to approach those and how to scoop them and score.
This is, by the way, Luca Diamant from Venice, California, is the quarterback here, number 2 for the Blue Devils. He's running in the 2 unit behind Gunnar Holmberg, 6'3". Was just 5 of 8 throwing the football last fall for the Blue Devils. Played in the regular season finale of Florida State, by the way.
He's a guy that can really run, too. I mean, really run. He's a great athlete. So David Cutcliffe feels really good about the potential that he has down the line to take over this offense, and certainly feels good about him at that backup spot.
Yep. And that's a completed pass, by the way, to Nicky Dalmolin, who is a guy they've moved from wide receiver to tight end. He's a little light at 215 pounds for the tight end spot. We switch back into the field here to Lover's Lane and get a look at some of these guys fighting inside.
Get you some interior D-line one-on-ones. You got to love it. And obviously there's a lot of intricacies of playing both offensive and defensive line. But the thing I'm always gravitating towards when I see these is how well are these guys using their hands? How well are they not letting guys get in their bodies? You see Ben Fry about to take a rep.
Yep. And you see that he's working against he's working against Lamar now. Lamar is the red. This is the robot. There he is. Gotta love the technology.
Tearing up the grass a little bit, yeah. Saw Graham Barton there, a guy that we were talking about earlier with a good rep. Was able to stymie, who was that? I think it was Michael Reese, and then bury him into the ground. That's that nasty that you want to see with these defensive linemen. Or excuse me, with these offensive linemen. Defensive linemen always pick on you, so when we have the opportunity to bury one, you absolutely have to do it. A couple of really good reps.
That was Dwayne Carter that got knocked down here, and this is Jamian Franklin, 310 pounds.
That girth up front that you want. I mean, that's a large man right there.
Here's Aeneas Peoples, 92 in the white.
That was Jacob Monk, the offensive lineman. He did a really nice job of getting into his body early on and really neutralized Peoples early. That's something that offensive linemen always want to do. You can get your hands into their body, takes it away, takes a lot of their power away.
Yep. All right, so the horn, that doesn't change in practices, does it, Roddy? When you hear the horn.
Brings back a lot of memories. Oh, man. I don't know if they're good or bad, but they're there.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. Come back. We'll get some of the 7-on-7, some of the scrimmaging principles with David Cutcliffe's Blue Devils. We got Trooper Taylor on the mic. We got the ball getting ready to get in the air and some hitting going on next.
Well, life on the farm is kind of
as you like to say in spring ball. Now we're into scrimmaging.
Yeah, we got some real stuff going on. This is some 3rd and 8 situations. Saw the 1s just a second ago. Now we're getting a look at the 2s. Jordan Waters with a carry there. And Jordan Waters is a guy they're really excited about, Wes.
Yep, absolutely. And almost mentioned in the same breath behind Mateo Durant the other day in terms of guys who've made significant improvement. And we're getting to see the California redshirt freshman Diamond. And that was for Johntavious Robertson, a young man from Middle Georgia down at Jones County, south of Macon, and Gray, who was on the back end of that pass attempt. And all the combinations here. Remember, we were talking about guys that, veteran guys like Awolabaugh who might not be practicing, Patrick Lighton, those guys. Well, the door opens then for younger guys to potentially step through and help out a little bit, and that's where you're starting to see some of these things in the offensive line. We mentioned Graham Barton. That's one of the guys we're going to keep an eye on here today. We're also getting to see Cade Parmalee at center right now. And Jordan Moore, by the way, is the quarterback here, number 8 for the Blue Devils. Don't forget our coverage of ACC Network Spring Football continues next Saturday, 1 o'clock. Roddy and I will be at Clemson for the Orange and White Spring Game. The 19,000 fan capacity, Frank Howard Field at Memorial Stadium, same as it was in the fall, and we'll get a look at DJ Uiagalelei, among other new faces. Will Shipley, the running back, also of note, Roddy, for Dabo Sweeney's team next Saturday, 1 o'clock right here on ACC Network.
A lot of familiar faces. James Skalski back for his 18th season. Nolan Turner the same.
And by the way, Eric McLean,
with people coming back.
Mr. Clemson, Eric McLean with us next Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be
on site.
So
looking forward to that.
We got the 1s back out here again for some situational football. Looks like this one is the plus 41 going in. This is what practice is like, even in typical scrimmage situations. It's a lot of situational ball. It's not just getting out there and throwing the ball around.
Nice throw to Pancole.
Beautiful throw against Jeremiah Lewis, a really experienced good corner. And some of the explosiveness, that's something that lacked at times last season. But you look at the throw from Gunnar Holmberg, I mean, that's as good a throw as you can. It's as good as you can throw it right there. Couldn't walk it out there any better.
And Jeremiah Lewis, who had a couple picks and 46 tackles last year for the Blue Devils. And here's Mateo Durant in the backfield this time. Roddy, how important do you think it is? You touched on it with Durant, and he said to our visit the ability to catch the ball has been a premium for him. It's something he wants to get better at doing, something he expects to do more of.
It's huge for a running back in today's game, especially if you're looking to go to the next level. But even in this offense, the running back catching the football has really always been a big part of this offense. As you see him split out wide on a little hitch route catching the football. I mean, that is something that oftentimes when these running backs split out, you just think, okay, they're just out there to run a dummy route. But when you can actually catch the ball and get a running back in space against a safety or a corner, that's a win for an offense. So it's going to be a big part of Mateo Durant's development.
A couple of good reps for Holmberg and Durant. Diamond back at quarterback. And overthrows Malik Bowen Sims, sophomore from the Nashville area.
And the reps that these twos get, I mean, you heard David Cutcliffe say, you're only as good as your twos coming out of spring. And they want to be good 22 deep on each side of the football, so that if you have the injuries that are always a part of a football season, you have guys that can fill in. and not miss a beat, or even if it is a slight beat, it's not very much. So the development of a guy like Luka Diamond, the development of guys that we've seen running routes and catching the football, the development of a guy like Jordan Waters or Jalen Coleman who's in the backfield, who they're excited about, a bigger back as well. And that's going to be big for this offense under the new direction of Jeff Ferris.
Ball's out quick, and this is Jake Bobo. Tell you what,
that's one of those where the receiver gets to the end zone and he starts talking some smack running back, saying that's a score, that's a score. And
right.
The defenders are like, no, that was a tackle. But I don't know, man. You go back and look at some of that film, and I saw some of the safeties sticking their arm out there and touching them, saying that's tackle. That's not a tackle. It's not a tackle on defense, reaching out and touching a guy.
Here we go. Here we go with the offensive. The offensive guys already starting to define exactly what's a tackle. The defenders are always just
tagging your pads. Yeah, they're grabbing your towel, tagging your flag, and they're like, oh, that's a tackle. No, it's not. That's not a tackle. You wrap me up, that's a tackle. You get in good position, that's a tackle. Got to stay on those guys.
All right, we'll take a break, come back. More to come of the spring showcase from Durham. Get a little more look here at the Blue Devils slinging it around. Back after this.
Get the most out of your day and your shower with Nivea Nourishing Body Wash. It's the moisture you need for beautifully nourished skin.
On a foggy, kind of overcast Saturday morning for late March with Roddy Jones, West Durham, and we're into some red zone options now, and we've seen the ones kind of go through a first series, and now this is the twos. You see Jordan Waters, number 7, kind of worked his way into the backfield. Cole Finney is the tight end, if you will, on the right side.
First and goal from the 8 situation. So, again, situational football. Looking for a completion, positive play. Oh, we got a little quarterback run.
And Diamond will get in. Roddy, how important for a team that was 11th in the league in red zone last year to get this stuff cleaned up and have a variety? And we already talked about Diamond's ability to run, right?
Yeah, we have. And to be honest with you, we've seen Duke employ a multiple quarterback system to take advantage of a running quarterback in the past with Anthony Boone and Thomas Sirk. So I don't know that we'll see that this year, but it certainly gives you an opportunity. And it's incredibly important. Everything that, you talk about the red zone, everything's constricted in the red zone and everything happens faster. And you have to program your mind to work that way. You look at the offense a year ago, only 18 touchdowns out of 35 trips into the red zone. And so you have to do this over and over and over because it's almost like playing a different game. And that's why teams split up third downs, because third downs are different from the other downs in the open field. Goal line, first and goal from the 8, coming out, going in, these different situations where the rules change a little bit. And Jeff Ferris and Raekwon Boyette, as you see him there, those guys are really focused on improving this team in these situations.
Yep, and you're seeing a little bit of the packaging. You saw Blackwell and Harding on a pretty good battle in the end zone there a moment ago. And this is Jordan Moore, freshman from Sykesville, Maryland, an early enrollee at quarterback. And he'll miss on a throw into the end zone for William Robertson.
Jordan Moore is a guy that should be playing should be a senior in high school right now, as you said. A guy that is an early enrollee, and throughout the spring you're going to get a look at these guys that months ago were playing against, a sophomore, a 15-year-old sophomore. Now you're going up against a 23-year-old redshirt freshman, and that changes quick. Changes real quick. As a guy who was the 23-year-old redshirt senior at some point, I know when you get those early enrollees, you like to feast on them a little bit.
Yep. Jordan Moore is one of a handful that David Cutcliffe and his staff have here. And again, you heard Coach Cutcliffe talk about it with us at the top. You go 140 days without a team workout a year ago. No spring and really not a lot of summer at all before Duke got back to a practice field, and then the 20 campaign was off. But here are the mid-year enrollees featuring Jordan Moore, and they're kind of all across the roster. Linebackers, couple of corners, safeties, defensive end, and then Aaron Hall, guy from the Durham area who had his senior year, by the way, in high school wiped out because of the coronavirus.
Right.
So really, it's like it's a free flip for him.
The fact that all of these guys are at positions where you have some depth, I think is really good for the Blue Devils, because you're not bringing these guys in to get them ready to play in the fall. You're bringing them in to develop them and give them a head start. And if they're good enough to play for you, great. But if not, then you're okay. As throughout the entire country, you're going to see early year enrollees come in, and some of them will develop enough to be players. Some of them will have to sit a little bit as we get into some different situational ball here.
Yep. This looks to be more of the straight-up scrimmage. And they've got
the flags.
Yep. Not a scrimmage until the first flag's thrown, right, Roddy? So this is actually now when these scrimmages occur in the spring, and just like they do leading up to the start of the season in the fall, there are a handful of these that are administrated by ACC officials. So Dwayne Height is the referee in a group here today at Wallace Wade Stadium. There's Holmberg getting it out and quick. And that is Jalen Calhoun. And that is a runaway touchdown. Wow.
Quick strike ability. And there's two sides to this. On the offensive side, a really nice job by Calhoun and by Holmberg of being on the same page. On the defensive side, some brutal angles allowed not only the completion, but then Calhoun cutting inside, not being able to bring him down, and the speed to go to the house. So there's two sides to it in the spring. You're always excited when the offense does something, but the defensive coaches are looking around like, what in the world just happened to us? But that's exciting for Duke fans when you see a guy like Jalen Calhoun show that speed, especially when he gets in the open field. That's why one of the reasons you should be encouraged. Now, Wes, here's the thing, though, in the spring. Now comes in the minimum, because typically the coaches will say, hey, 6-play minimum for an offense or a defense. I don't know if we've gotten to that part of the scrimmage, but the one offense may trot back out there because they haven't reached their minimum. That was always the thing that got me like, Coach, we did our job early, so we're punished by having to go back out there again? What's going on?
Yeah. By the way, the nice play by Calhoun in between both Nate Thompson and Jalen Alexander on the throw from Holmberg. Quick reminder to you that ACC baseball continues tonight on ACC Network. Number 11, Georgia Tech and Duke. Game 2 of a 3-game weekend series in Durham. Chris Cotter, Gabby Sanchez have the coverage starting at 7 Eastern right here on ACC Network, streaming live tonight on the ESPN app. Jackets were winners last night
Pitchers
at the DBAP. And a flurry of baseball. There's a catch by Pancole against Leonard Johnson, another veteran guy, 5th-year senior for the Blue Devils. They're 33 in the white. Good football player, Roddy.
Certainly is. He's done a really nice job for them, not only in the spring, but really throughout his Duke career.
All right, Jordan Waters gets the carry here, and we're going to focus a little bit. Remember, we talked at the top about the offensive line. So we want to keep an eye on a couple different guys here. And I know we mentioned Graham Barton at left tackle, and we see him there. We also want to keep Cade Parmalee, who's a transfer from Abilene Christian, at the pivot. He's the one snapping the ball to Holmberg here at the center spot. And the whistle blows as Holmberg starts to use his feet to get out of the pocket.
That offensive line is a group that's still developing, still coming together, and you're going to see a lot of cross-training most likely over the course of this scrimmage, and certainly over the course of the spring. A guy like Graham Barton, they're going to develop him to look to be the best left tackle that they have, and that maybe in the league if they can get him there. But ultimately, you're going to see a lot of guys rotating. So we get a punt situation. Well, not a live punt, though.
No, not at all. Brandon Johnson, by the way, is deep on the punt and did a good job picking that up for the Blue Devils. So a 40-yard punt from Porter Wilson.
So that signals the end of the ones most likely, although the one defense looks like it's still out there with Shaka Hayward. Again,
Right.
Wes, that minimum, man. It's that minimum.
Got to get the minimum. Is that the deal?
You know, the when we would go into spring, Paul Johnson was obviously the coach at Georgia Tech when we were doing it. And when we would get into spring and go into these scrimmages, we would always we could never scheme it, but you'd always try and hit like an 8-play drive so that you'd be okay. Because if you had like a 7-play drive that wasn't great, Coach Johnson would just tell you to re-rack it. You know, that 6-play minimum, no, forget that. We're going to do this again. You just get tired. But it does get you in sort of a game mood.
Well, this is one-on-ones here, and that's Jalen Coleman, the running back from out of the Charlotte area. Just a handful of carries a season ago. 6'1", 205, redshirt sophomore.
You saw a lot of penetration from the defensive line on that play, forcing Jalen Coleman, to have to cut up a little earlier than he wanted. But that outside zone play, that's what Duke wants to be really good at this season, and then run play action off of it.
There's a throw to Calhoun on the backside, and it is called a catch on the second down play.
One of those that if you do this during the season, this is going to be reviewed, Jalen Calhoun. I don't know about that one.
Jalen Alexander
there's no review in practice.
Oh, now Dwayne Height says nope, incomplete.
There you go.
How about that?
There is review in practice. Just happens on the field amongst each other. Nope,
there
juggling it. Sorry.
Nope, juggling it. We're moving on. Third down. So third and the full here, Roddy.
See how aggressive this Duke defense is going to be.
They dial it back underneath. That's Finney, the tight end.
And I know the reads and all of that are going to take you there. But too often over the past couple of years in these third and long situations, it's been, an out to the tight end.
Right.
So the thing that you're looking to develop over the course of this spring is what else can we get from that? What else can we go to on 3rd and 10? Was there an opportunity because you got man-to-man coverage? Was there an opportunity downfield that we missed? Those are things that you're going to talk about over the course of the spring and try and get better at in watching the film of this game.
All right, how much of that then becomes the packaging of what you're doing on third down if you think that too many times you've hit the tight end well short of the stick, okay? Like they had third and the full number there. So now all of a sudden David Cutcliffe and this offensive think tank that he's got going with Calvin McGee and Jeff Ferris and Raekwon Boyette and Zach Roper, what have they got to start thinking about from a structure standpoint on their personnel groupings, you think?
I think that they feel really comfortable with the tight end, obviously. So you have to find that comfort somewhere else. You have to find it with the Jalen Calhoun. And some of it's a mentality with the quarterbacks, just coaching up the quarterbacks and saying, hey, look, pre-snap it looks like man, post-snap if you get man, not only do you have your tight end here, but let's also take a peek at Calhoun on whatever route that he's running on a back shoulder throw and letting our guys go get it. So some of it's just the development of trust with some of these, with the receivers and with their abilities, and also in yourself. Like if you've got the confidence that you can make a back shoulder throw at any point in the field, then you're more likely to go to that.
Yeah, the other part you noticed, at least early on, they've gotten a lot of stuff into the slot today. Now, there may be a point of emphasis for this particular practice, Roddy, but Gunnar Holmberg's been really, really comfortable throwing the ball and getting it out of his hand quick.
And I think that's how these quarterbacks are coached at Duke. I mean, think of the slots that they've had over the last even 5 years.
Sure.
With TJ Ramming, you go back to Jamison Crowder, and before that it was they had some great ones as well. So when you look at the structure of this offense, tight ends are always going to be a big part of it. They always have been. The slots are always going to be a big part of it. They always have been. And if you have an outside receiver that you can go to consistently, then the structure of the offense allows you to do that. But slots and tight ends are always going to be a big part of what Dave Cutcliffe wants to do.
By the way, by not mentioning Connor Vernon, you'll lose your card.
I know.
That's one of the slots.
Connor Vernon, yeah.
Out of Gulliver Prep in Miami.
Yeah.
He terrorized Georgia Tech. You know that, right?
Yeah, he terrorized just about everybody in the ACC. Wasn't he like the all-time leader in receptions when he left?
Yeah, unbelievable. Guy was a machine.
Still might be.
Here's a good run. This is Nate Shea Donker. This is a grad transfer from Furman. Look at this run, Roddy. 5'9", 170 from Orlando. Played at the Southern Conference level. Graduated in 3 years at Furman.
Yeah, and the offensive line got him to the second level before he had to make a move, really. And so you can see the talent in this Duke backfield. Also see some explosiveness from Isaiah Fisher-Smith on the defensive side of the ball, number 11 right there. What do you think of the black hats?
By the way, the FCS grad transfer is going to be an interesting piece for some of these schools because, remember, FCS football did not play any kind of predicted schedule in the fall. They're going through anywhere from a 6 to an 8 game campaign right now at the football championship series. And, Roddy, some of those schools are going to turn right around after a quick summer turn and play in the fall. So for a player like Shea Donker, you're seeing an opportunity maybe to make the grad transfer option. I'm going to be interested to see these guys that play in the spring that end up in another place in the fall. Speaking of the transactive nature of college football.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. College football, there's a lot of talk about the transfer portal. It's part of what college football has become. Mm-hmm. And I think the FCS to FBS transfer this year, I'll be interested to see how much it happens, just like you, because of the nature of how they're playing the FCS season this year.
Flag thrown on the play on a ball for Bowen Sims. Covered in the secondary, and that's Blackwell, the longtime Duke corner.
Josh Blackwell, an experienced guy, just gets wrapped up with Bowen Smith there. He's looking like, well, what can I do? Well, you can't wrap him up, big fella. But Josh Blackwell injured his knee last year, missed a lot of the year, and that really hurt Duke. You look at the back end, they had a ton of injuries on that back end, Blackwell being one of them, and that depth was just eroded. So you had some guys get some experience, but Blackwell is a long corner at 6 foot flat, 275, 280 pounds. He's talking with his coach a little bit.
All right, we'll take a break, come back, more of the Duke Spring Showcase. We roll on from Wallace Wade Stadium. More scrimmage action coming up. We've already seen Gunnar Holmberg to Jalen Calhoun.
Not in my house. No.
Expect to be not only a guy that catches a lot of balls, but creates a lot of explosive plays for them. You've got Mateo Durant in the backfield that's going to do that. But Calhoun has done a nice job over the course of his career managing that spot. And the downfield threat, though, is what they're looking for. As you see, he's getting a little bit of love from the Charlotte players after he dominates there. This one from a couple years ago, just getting lost on a slot fade down the field. His ability to score. We saw the speed earlier, the hands between he and Jake Bobo and Eli Pankow. This is a group that, if they continue to develop, can be one of the best in the ACC. But his ability to get down the field, up the seams, and really create some explosive plays is what David Cutcliffe, Jeff Ferris, and this offensive staff are going to be looking for.
And because of Duke's success with tight end, we got to throw Jake Marwidi in there, don't we? Simply as
absolutely.
A guy who's going to be a major factor in the throw game. Gunnar Holmberg back running the offense here. And this is Jordan Waters. And we've seen he and Mateo Durant both work with Holmberg.
And those two guys are likely going to be a two-headed monster over the course of the season, much like Deion Jackson and Mateo Durant were last year. Waters is going to be certainly the backup. Durant's going to get the bulk of the carries. But his ability to be really effective when he gets in the game is really going to unlock a lot of this Duke offense, because Duke will do some stuff with two backs in the backfield, and keeping those guys fresh is something they like to do. Durant's going to be the bell cow, but Jordan Waters is a guy they're really excited about too.
Yeah, no doubt. And with Jalen Coleman, who we've also seen get a carry too. Let's see what this number one unit has set up here.
Yeah, on the last play, you saw Gunnar Holmberg on a zone read carrying the ball a little bit. That's something that he's going to be expected to do. Chase Bryce did it last year. Quentin Harris here before that. I mean, this is the quarterback run has always been a big part of this offense and will continue to be with Holmberg's athleticism.
There's Waters trying to get to the left side. And Jamarick Woods, transfer from Michigan, Roddy. We thought we might see him shine a little bit here today, and he's been around the ball a couple times.
He's probably the closest from a build standpoint to a former Duke Blue Devil great, Jeremy Cash. It's probably as close as they've had at that safety position to him in a while. Just taking a little bit for the light to click with this defense. They're asked to do a ton. You have to be versatile. Although that time, a nice job by Woods of being down in the box at linebacker level, collisioning in the hole, and doing an excellent job of just making things muddy for Jordan Waters trying to get through there.
Yeah, Blue Devils did a good job there. A lot of guys around the football. Saw Gary Smith, 58. That's a guy who they've earmarked a little bit through the spring as well. Here's Waters. And he will go 51 yards for the score. So about the time we talk about the defense solving it up, Roddy, big play for Jordan Waters.
Jamarick Woods did a really nice job. Watch him come through on the right side of your screen, gets through the hole and has an opportunity at Jordan Waters. And Waters just is able to break the arm tackle, get up the field, and once he's got a seam, you see the speed to get to the end zone. That's why they're excited about the redshirt sophomore from Fairmount, North Carolina, Jordan Waters. But on the other side, again, this is spring practice, so you got to go both sides. Jamarick Woods did an excellent job of diagnosing that play, excellent job of triggering, getting into the backfield, and had an opportunity for a tackle for a loss. You make that tackle, it's completely different. You don't, Waters to the house.
All right. We'll step aside, timeout, Spring Showcase. Continuing from Durham. Looking in on the Blue Devils.
These are the people who work on the front lines. They need a network that's built right.
With Roddy Jones, West Durham, ACC Network coverage of spring football. We're in Durham at Wallace Wade Stadium. Been looking in on David Cutcliffe's group here this morning. They start September 4th down in Charlotte against Will Healy and the Niners, and then 3 straight home games. North Carolina A&T, who, by the way, is transitioning toward FBS with Northwestern, and Kansas, all coming to Wallace Wade Stadium. And then you see the road schedule at Carolina, at Virginia, on the road at Wake, and Virginia Tech before home dates with Louisville and Miami close the regular season. Roddy, how many times do we talk about important to get off to a good start? You got an interesting 4 games before you play in Chapel Hill on that first Saturday in October.
Yeah, you do. 3 really good teams. North Carolina A&T may be a team that most people haven't heard of or haven't heard much about being at the FCS level, but that's a really good FCS program. And so Duke, while having an opportunity, certainly, I'm not saying that A&T is going to beat Duke, but that's going to be a game where you have to play well. That Northwestern game, that's a game that it looks really tough.
They won the Big Ten West now. I mean,
defending Big Ten West champions, 10-win team a year ago. It's a tough game at Wallace Wade.
Yep, so we'll keep an eye on at least the early season. Kansas, unknown obviously on several fronts what's going on out in Lawrence.
Yeah, North Carolina A&T may be better than Kansas.
The ACC, yeah. Then you start the ACC campaign with Carolina on October 2nd in Chapel Hill. David Cutcliffe will visit with us before we're done at the top of the hour. Looking forward to that as well, along with a couple players. But we continue our Duke Spring Showcase next.
Major choice.
Continues here on a Saturday morning on ACC Network. Don't forget ACC Network and ACC Network Extra, also your homes for pro days around the ACC footprint, with all these being conducted on campuses. Duke will hold its annual pro day coming up on Monday on ACC Network Extra starting at 1:30. As you see Porter Wilson deliver the punt here. And here's who Duke will have lined up, Roddy. Michael Carter II, Victor Dimukeji, Mark Gilbert, who's a great story of perseverance, if nothing else, from injuries, Noah Gray, Devery Hamilton, Deion Jackson, Chris Rump II, all scheduled to appear in front of 45 NFL coaches and scouts starting at 1:30 on Monday afternoon on ACC Network Extra. And Monday afternoon on ACC Network at 1 o'clock, the exclusive coverage of the Miami Pro Day from Coral Gables. Jordan Cornette, Eric McClain, E.J. Manuel, Mark Richt, all involved. Draft-eligible Hurricanes showcasing for the NFL include Greg Rousseau, Quincy Roche, Jalen Phillips, and Brevin Jordan. So Pro Days continue on the ACC Network Monday, 1 o'clock. I mean, Boston College had one last week, Roddy, a couple weeks ago. Pittsburgh, where Jalen Twyman benched 225 40 times. Whether it's on ACCN or the ACCN Extra app, you will want to see some of these Pro Day coverages. They've been phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, the ACC is going to have a really nice class of drafted players. Talk about that Miami Pro Day. You likely have 2 first-rounders working out there in Jalen Phillips and Gregory Rousseau.
Yep.
In Duke's Pro Day, I mean, Chris Rump is going to be an excellent piece for someone as sort of a pass rusher. Maybe fits in as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Guy like Michael Carter could find a home. Noah Gray will be a good piece as well. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys are. It's a big day. It's a big day for those guys. I was not fortunate like those guys who I just mentioned that got drafted, but Pro Day was the day that you sort of built up towards after your senior year. So it's always fun to watch them take that step to sort of realize their dreams.
Yep. So Pro Day coverage on the app at 1:30 from Duke, at 1 o'clock on ACC Network from Miami this Monday. Gunnar Holmberg has done a good job moving this offense around here today. A couple of different ways. A throw to Calhoun, a run by Waters, and that time tried to dial the tight end. I think that's Matt Smith. It is. Redshirt sophomore from Needham, Mass, who played 5 ball games last fall.
Yeah, you're going to get offensive pass interference, I think. Pick play down in the end zone. Oh, there you go. Ball did not cross the line of scrimmage.
How about Dwayne Height with a...
No. Yeah. See, referees need spring too, but that's midseason form right there. That was a midseason form explanation.
Yep.
It's 3rd down now, I believe. Got to give a shout out to this defense. Aside from some of the big plays, defense has really done a nice job today. And David Cutcliffe mentioned to us that the defense was probably ahead of the offense, which is not something that's incredibly rare, as Jamark Woods gets in the backfield and gets a tackle for a loss.
Yep. Another job by Woods to find the football, Roddy, in close quarters again.
Well, he's going to be an interesting piece because from a size standpoint, he fits the mold of a safety that you want playing at linebacker level. The question is, can he do the other things that he's asked in this versatile Duke secondary to be able to stay on the field? But we've seen him make some nice plays.
22 yards for Charlie Ham. Around 20 yards, actually. And pushes that through on a tight left to right angle. All right, Trooper Taylor got to be pretty happy with that, right?
I would imagine so. It's situational football. Down inside the 10-yard line, defense stands up, wins that. Shaka Hayward gets a little bit of dap, a pat on the head. It's interesting in talking to the coaches about some of the shuffles. You know, we mentioned it earlier, but the infusion of energy on that defensive side of the ball, that was the first thing that David Cutcliffe said that he wanted Trooper Taylor to bring. And this defensive line has done a nice job as well of neutralizing the run game for the most part. I mean, aside from the Waters run, we really haven't seen a big run. I guess Shea Donker had one a little bit earlier too, but outside of those 2 explosive runs, it's been really hard for the offense to get anything going on the ground.
Well, and again, we talk about details in this piece, Roddy, because they need to see, obviously, Gunnar Holmberg do quarterback things. But so much of this is going to be tied to how well that front plays on the offensive side. But yet the fact they've leveled things, they got it to Calhoun in the slot, they've run it with Waters, they've run it with Durant. But you got to get that offensive line. And Greg Fry's brought here in ways to put this group together, to get David Cutcliffe to a point where he feels good and operates with a good bit of confidence about what they can do package-wise offensively.
You're exactly right. And you can't judge everything that's gone on by exactly what happened. Is more vanilla, and take it from me, by the time you get to this point in spring, guys are used to they're used to what you're running, and they kind of know what you like to run at certain points in time. So defenders are guessing a little bit, the offense is cheating a little bit. You get some of that in there too, but a nice kickoff return there.
Jalen Stinson almost housed this.
Make the move on the kicker. Who's that ran him down? Is that Daryl Harding that ran him down?
Daryl Harding, 6'4", 2.25.
6'4", 225, running down a kickoff return. That's a nice job.
Yeah, yep, very nice job by Daryl Harding. But a nice return from Jalen Stinson as well. We're working our way here to the back half of this spring showcase for the Blue Devils. And we're getting another look at some of these folks up front defensively here. Keep an eye on Franklin and Peoples, 55 and 92, playing inside in the defensive front. And right on cue, there's Aeneas Peoples, sophomore from just outside of Raleigh, hoping to help in the defensive line. Don't forget, we got more ACC baseball for you tonight. Chris Cotter, Gabby Sanchez, game 2 of the weekend set with Georgia Tech and Duke. Starts at 7 o'clock right here on ACC Network and always for you on the ESPN app. Busy weekend of ACC baseball. Boston College and Clemson had a 400-pitch effort for you yesterday, Roddy. By the way,
let's just say not my cup of tea. 400 pitches, not my cup of tea.
No, but you'll get the Blue Devils and Jackets tonight at 7 o'clock. With Chris and Gabby on the coverage here on ACC Network. Diamond trying to make a move, and they'll whistle that play dead. I tell you what,
again, the defenders are going to be lobbying for a safety. I'd have had him in the end zone, and I'm to be honest with you, I'm not sure that they're not right on that one. That's a good job. I couldn't see exactly who it was, but defeating the block, getting in the backfield, and forcing Diamond out, and then being able to I'm using air quotes here, bring him down behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Another punt exchange here. And the fair catch called for by Jake Bobo out near midfield.
Punters have hit some boomers today, Wes.
Yep.
And Muggy Day and Wallace Wade.
All right. Coming around on the backside of this spring showcase for David Cutcliffe. We'll continue in a moment.
Welcome back to the Duke Spring Showcase. And up there in the booth, you see right there in the middle with the mask sort of halfway down, Jeff Ferris, the new co-offensive coordinator for the Duke Blue Devils, has been on staff for a while. Played safety at Duke, was a roommate of Sean Renfree's and David Cutcliffe the early days, has been on staff, as I said, for a while, and is now taking over the play calling duties. Raekwon Boyette, the receivers coach, is also a co-offensive coordinator. But Wes, it'll be interesting to see this year how this offense changes and morphs a little bit with these two young rising stars in the coaching profession taking over the play calling, from David Cutcliffe, who did it last year, to now. And you would expect some different ideas, a different approach at times. The spring is about fundamentals, so that's what we've seen here today. But one of the storylines for this Duke Blue Devils is how does this offense change with Boyette and Ferris at the helm in calling and designing the plays?
And they also mentioned Calvin McGee, who's joined this staff too, Roddy, as a guy who bring some of those RPO principles and background together. And there's Coach McGee right to the left of Jeff Ferris upstairs. To me, that's one of the interesting parts of this whole exchange is that kind of continuity and that kind of philosophy that they're working through. I've been impressed today. I've seen, number one, a lot of different guys, a lot of different personnel packages, the way they get the football inside, still some of the tried and true, quote, David Cutcliffe things, if you will. But, I mean, we've seen Jordan Waters break a run here. We've seen fairly steady offensive line play, right? Good stuff, I think.
I think so, too. I think you've gotten some stuff done. Spring is as much about working on the basics, the fundamentals, as anything. But Calvin McGee coming over, that was something that the coaching staff, all of them really said to us has had a big impact. Calvin McGee was on those Rich Rodriguez coached offenses when he was at Ole Miss under Matt Luke, and they ran the ball on everybody with John Rice Plumlee, including Alabama, including LSU. So the performance that he has had over the course of his career in the run game is really going to help with those principles as we get a look at the one offense once again.
Yeah, let's take a look. Jordan Waters has stayed in the ball game here at the running back spot. And that's a ball for Calhoun. And broken up on the play by Jalen Alexander.
Jalen Alexander, a guy that's had a nice day today. We've seen him a couple of times down the field and some jump ball situations here. He's all over Jalen Calhoun. That ball thrown a little behind Calhoun. And because of that, Alexander able to get his arm in there and knock the ball away. From what I've seen from Jalen Alexander today, he's had a pretty good day.
Second down here for Holmberg. Or beg your pardon, it's Diamond. And again, uses his feet. Roddy, he does not shy away from the chance to escape the pocket using his feet, does he?
No, he doesn't. We've seen a lot of that today, and that's what happens with these young quarterbacks, especially when you start to get a little trash in the pocket or your first, second read are covered, you tuck it down and run, and David Cutcliffe is going to be pleased with that as long as there's not a wide-open guy running down the field. He'll be pleased with that because, he told us the most important thing about every single play, and I asked our quarterbacks this, the most important thing about every single play is what? It's ending up with the ball at the end of the play, and that's something that Duke has struggled with today, but we have not seen an interception. We have not seen the ball on the ground for a fumble either today.
We might be getting to the end of the practice here. 2-point plays, and there's a give for Coleman. Now, the way the scenario works for Duke here is that they put this up on the board and go for two. They treat it as a 1-point differential. Jalen Coleman goes in there, and essentially that gives them the lead. And you see they know they've succeeded there, and there we are. 14-13 is the score, and this is you always want to know how many 2-point plays a team's got. Well, you're getting a look at Duke's here.
Yeah, another situational ball, 14-13, 2-point play to win the game. The offense opting to go with a little bit of motion to make it look like it's going to be one of those rollouts where the quarterback dumps it to the flat. You get a pick play, but they hand it off on the inside zone.
Right.
You get Jalen Coleman cutting back, and touchdown, we win.
Defense tried to read that and might have jumped in early. Oh, it's on the offense, I believe. So
makes that 2-point play a little bit tougher. You design these plays to get you 3 yards. Now you're going to have to go from the the 8. Apologies. It's still early, Wes. It's before noon. My math's a little bit off, but
spring, Roddy. We're all getting tuned up.
Yeah. I'll be good come fall with the
That's good.
3 plus 5. I'll be good there.
Would appreciate that. Yeah. Here's a quick back foot throw for Bobo. And the defense celebrates a stop there. 5 yards made a big difference there, Roddy.
it took away what you could do quick on the offense. So when the defense is going to bring pressure like that, the defense brought 7. You only have 6 guys to block them. You got to get the ball out quick, and essentially it has to be a fade right then, right now. Now, it doesn't help when you get beat right up the middle. Christian Rory beating his man, getting right in the face of Diamont, and ends up as an incompletion. Defense wins.
Right, this is Jordan Moore, the third quarterback, and he fumbled the ball before he got tagged by James Hobson, by the way, who's one of the Blue Devils in the secondary, number 10. And so,
conversation there. And now we got game winners, Wes. Once again, 14-14 now. Oh, here's where the
Charlie
team gets
Ham
to come out and heckle the kicker on the game winner. You never really get the you don't get the pressure situations in practice. You don't get the sense of thousands of people in the stands and all that. So what do? You put the entire team around them and say, hey, look, as long as you don't touch him, it's fine. But you get as close as you can and try and throw him off and have him make a game winner.
Trooper Taylor's towel waving does not impact Charlie Ham at all.
You know, you'll often see those game winners with guys like that. You'll often see it for stakes or for something else. Put something on the line to really put the pressure on the kicker and try and simulate it. But Charlie Ham, cool as the other side of the pillow right there.
All right, now, here for the last play of the scrimmage is Nuclear.
Uh-oh.
And they
man.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
He said Roddy stayed to the end.
This is a surprise. The 2-0. Oh, no.
The 2-0 jersey. Oh, no.
This brings back memories of getting demolished by Duke on kickoff return. Oh, that thing better run fast. Faster than I ever did.
Oh, no. Let's see. Here's 20 in action.
Yeah,
we got cutbacks.
This against NC State, though. That never happened against the Blue Devils. And Matt Daniels made sure of that.
Yeah, among others.
Among many others.
All right, so they got to kick and cover Lamar, or in this case, Roddy.
Uh-oh. Look, I don't think I've ever been praying more for a dummy in my life. Someone help him. Are we gonna get this dummy some blocking?
I don't think so.
Oh, man.
I
appreciate the thoughtfulness from Coach Cut, though. I feel included in the practice.
Yeah, well, you're getting ready to feel it mentally, if nothing else.
Oh, I'm feeling it mentally.
All right, here he is.
Someone help him. Oh, no. Oh, Lord. Oh. Just had flashbacks. Oh, no. Oh, they're beating him up. Oh, it's enough. Stop it. Stop it. He's already dead. He's already down. Oh, poor number 20.
Wow. What a hit. Cole Carto, congrats. Roddy Jones takes place after a practice here at Duke. Cutcliffe put the 20 jersey on Lamar, and then Trooper Taylor just aced you out.
Man, I'm telling you, Wes, I've never rooted so hard for a dummy or artificial intelligence. Trooper Taylor just ended all of that. I felt that one in my bones.
Oh, man. We welcome Jake Bobo here after the Duke Spring Showcase with Roddy Jones, Wes Durham. Jake, thanks for the time. Take us through this morning. We got to see a lot. Now, you've been going through this practice process, but how was today in your mind?
It was good. Obviously, first time to get out here and really go live. After the first couple weeks, we took a pause there for a little COVID issue, but came back for a couple practices. So if nothing else, it was good to just get out here and tackle somebody for the defense and try to run over somebody on offense and kind of get our legs back under us.
Jake, with what happened last year with COVID shutting everything down, and then the pause that you guys had during your camp this year, how exciting was it just to get to the end and be able to say, hey, we did it, get some work in, and go out there and play a little bit?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, I'm sure you guys got a little bit of that energy up there, but it was like little kids down here playing touch football in the backyard. We were jacked up. We were excited. A lot of energy going on from, head coach all the way down to third string guys, and we were just excited to get out here, play a little bit, throw the ball around a little bit, and hopefully put on a little bit of a show for you guys.
Jake, you've played a lot of football here. The transitive nature of the game, I mean, the quarterback situation with Gunnar now taking over. Roddy and I noticed in our visits this week with coaches and also with players that Coach Ferris, Coach McGee, Coach Boyette, Coach Roper still obviously influencing this. The communicative nature of what's going on offensively is pretty impressive so far, it feels like.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. The bullets are always flying. Ideas are always flying. Even, communication from coaches to players and then players to coaches. If we feel like, we don't like something, a certain look out there on the field, it's very easy to go to these guys and go to these coaches and say, look, like maybe we look somewhere else. Maybe we switch up the scheme a little bit, but they've been awesome so far. I mean, energy is high. There's a little bit of a different feel, and hopefully you guys kind of felt that a little bit today.
We certainly did. The end of spring practice is always a relief and a joy that I remember as a player and always looked forward to. But, Jake, tell us a little bit about what's next. What's next for you guys? What's the next step, and how are you going to progress as you get towards the season?
Yeah, well, we got a couple more practices this week. Obviously, like you said, then we'll finish up spring and get in the weight room some this off season. And it's been, I don't want to say easy, but it's been fun. It's been fun to see these guys get in the weight room and feel the hunger and feel the energy that this team has. Obviously, some of that is natural coming off a 2-9 season, but we're excited. You saw that a little bit today, but we're ready to go. We're ready to get in that weight room this summer, go to work. Hopefully for me, I can throw on a few pounds, throw on a little more speed, a little more muscle in the legs, which has always been the goal. But, yeah, I mean, we're ready to go, ready to jump back in the weight room and get into some of these off-season workouts through the summer, and then, we're looking forward to fall camp.
Don't feel like an old guy in this program, do you?
A little bit.
Well, I tell you what, you've had a really good run. I know that it's going to be exciting. It's a lot better than not doing this, right, Jake? That's the one thing I think everybody's grateful for.
100%. Yeah. Say to myself, say to my teammates all the time, and they're always telling me, what would we do if we weren't doing this? So come out and enjoy it, have fun, and that's what we come out to do every day.
Well, we appreciate the time. Stay healthy. Have a good summer. We look forward to catching up with Duke in the fall when camp begins in August.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Jake Bobo out of Belmont, Mass., who is going to be one of those guys, Roddy. There's some veteran pieces here, and David Cutcliffe's going to lean a lot on number 19.
He's one of a few that Duke has coming back, or excuse me, a handful that Duke has coming back that are proven commodities that you're going to see. And we got to see a lot of them today. We got to see Jake Bobo, Mateo Durant, Jordan Waters with an explosive run down the field. Jalen Calhoun did some good things. I thought Gunnar Holmberg had a pretty nice day. We're seeing some development in the offensive line. Got to spotlight Graham Barton a little bit, but the defense was probably ahead today. Shaka Hayward in that group. Jamark Wood's going to be a nice piece for them. We saw a lot to be excited about for Duke coming out of spring practice as they got a couple more into 2021, the football season that they're getting ready for in the fall.
All right, don't forget Blue Devils will open up in Charlotte against the 49ers in early September. ACC opener comes up against North Carolina early October in Chapel Hill. Our coverage of ACC spring football continues next Saturday. We will be at Clemson for 1 o'clock in the orange and white spring game. Looking for about 19,000 fans to be on hand at Frank Howard Field, and we'll have that for you here on ACC Network. Don't forget baseball to come still tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, Duke and Georgia Tech Game 2 of the weekend series. For Roddy Jones, thanks to our producer Katie Bessel, Chad Lamford, our director, everybody involved at Duke. Appreciate the opportunity to be part of the Spring Showcase this morning. Have a great weekend on ACC Network.